The Nuggets, they've fired Michael Malone, the winningest coach in franchise history. They also fired general manager Calvin Booth, who took over the role 3 years ago.
This is stunning for him because he's the winningest coach in Denver Nuggets franchise history. He just led them to a championship in 2023.
Michael Malone, was very rough on his players. He screamed at his players. He called rage timeouts. He would yell at them in film sessions.
The Nuggets believed that something needed to change. Now, they were likely going to dismiss one or the other come the offseason.
He would yell at them in the locker room. He would yell at them in huddles. Their players all got tired of it over the course of time.
Everyone was shocked by the timing of this. That includes Michael Malone.
He's been lost the ears of this locker room. We have been seeing the frustration in Nikola Jokic.
There's just 3 games remaining. I'm hearing from folks close to Michael Malone now in real time that they just feel that this timing is disrespectful.
The Denver Nuggets have just executed one of the most baffling moves in recent NBA memory. Mere weeks before the playoffs, they decided to part ways with their head coach, Mike Malone. On the surface, it sounds like an impulsive decision, one that's destined to shake up everything this team has worked for. But if you look closer, there are hints of tension that stretch back months, possibly even years. Behind closed doors, rumors of disagreements between Malone and the front office have been swirling, with whispers that he repeatedly clashed with management over the makeup of the roster. And now, as the regular season winds down, the team sits on shaky ground, leaving fans stunned, outraged, and desperate for answers. Was this a pure power play from upper management? Did Malone's approach truly alienate star players? Or was someone looking for a convenient scapegoat before the postseason began? The story is far more complicated than a single clash of egos. The Nuggets are caught in the fierce unpredictability of the Western Conference, a place where top-seeded teams can slide down the standings in the blink of an eye. The unsettling part is how sudden and dramatic the firing appears, yet insiders are convinced it was anything but spontaneous. There's a lingering feeling that deep-seated conflicts led to this surprising decision. Tension simmered. Disputes arose about who was truly responsible for the team's struggles. And as fans grapple with the news, one question refuses to go away. Why now, right before the playoffs? What follows is a twisted journey of alleged behind-the-scenes confrontations, front office dramas, and star players caught in the crossfire of an organizational shakeup. Stay tuned, because this story goes deeper than most fans ever imagined. Before we dive into how things started unraveling, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're into deep dives like this. We break down the biggest stories in basketball without the fluff. Just facts, receipts, and a bit of chaos. And trust me, you're going to want to see how this one ends. Now back to the video. The 2023 to 2024 NBA regular season seemed promising for the Denver Nuggets, at least on paper. They had recently tasted championship glory, proving themselves capable of toppling even the most formidable opponents. Nikola Jokic, the franchise centerpiece, had solidified himself as one of the greatest talents in the league. Jamal Murray, after battling injuries, was expected to return and reclaim his role as the explosive sidekick who can drop 50 points on any given night. The front office, for its part, had tried to reshuffle the roster with fresh signings and new rotations. But that momentum began unraveling. Critics pointed out that too many key role players from their championship run had slipped away. Bruce Brown, a spark off the bench who could lock down multiple positions, was gone. The defensive intensity he brought vanished along with him. There were also lingering questions about whether certain trades, even rumored ones, had upset the delicate balance of the locker room. As the weeks went by, a crippling 4-game losing streak cast doubt on the Nuggets' postseason aspirations. To make matters worse, Jamal Murray found himself sidelined yet again, dealing with nagging issues that took him out of the lineup. Fans watched in disbelief as their once mighty squad tumbled in the standings, dropping to the 4th seed in a Western Conference so tight that even a single loss could yank a team down multiple positions. Yet it wasn't purely about the on-court results. Many believed that the pressure, combined with management's expectations, created a whirlwind of anxiety. Players felt it, coaches felt it. Even the most die-hard fans sensed something was off. Did management truly support Malone's strategies? Or were they already second-guessing the direction of the team? It gets even crazier. While on the surface, Denver's front office exuded confidence in their coaching staff, rumors about growing friction kept popping up in local sports radio chatter and fan forums. Insiders whispered that Malone and certain high-ranking executives had clashed repeatedly over roster decisions, particularly regarding who should come off the bench and how to handle star players logging heavy minutes. One particularly juicy rumor suggested that the front office had pushed for a more modernized offensive approach. They wanted the Nuggets to play faster, to embrace smaller lineups, and rely on three-point shooting from unexpected positions. Malone, however, was known for his preference for methodical half-court sets, especially to maximize Nikola Jokic's passing genius. The clash in philosophies, some claimed, began to wear on everyone involved. Then there was the question of defensive schemes. After their championship run, many pointed to the team's underrated defense as a critical factor in its success. But this season, that cohesive defensive effort seemed to evaporate. Allegedly, Malone had urged the front office to invest in more defensive-minded players, while management was bent on adding flashier names, players they believed could bolster the team's marketability. Of course, official statements always downplayed these whispers, calling them baseless rumors or overblown gossip. But behind the curtain, tension simmered. Some sources even claimed that star players felt torn. Should they remain loyal to a coach who had guided them to the pinnacle of success, or listen to executives suggesting that a change was crucial for another championship run? And here's where things take an unexpected turn. When you look back on the Nuggets' off-season moves following their championship, it's hard to ignore the loss of Bruce Brown. He was the type of relentless two-way energy that can make or break a title contender. Some fans have called his departure the biggest mistake in recent team history because he wasn't just a utility player. He was part of the team's identity. His ability to defend multiple positions, cut to the basket, and spark fast breaks offered an element of unpredictability that opposing teams struggled to prepare for. But he wasn't the only difference between last year's squad and this season's version. The addition of Russell Westbrook, a polarizing figure in the league, caused waves among fans and analysts. Westbrook's reputation as a fiery competitor sometimes comes packaged with concerns about ball dominance and questionable shot selection. Did he mesh with a system built around Jokic's passing brilliance, or did he disrupt it? The jury was still out, but as Denver's losing streak worsened, pointed questions began to surface. Word around the league suggested that management had pinned certain hopes on Westbrook's presence, believing his star power could rejuvenate a system that had grown a bit stale. However, some players privately grumbled that Westbrook's style required the ball to be in his hands, taking away from the free-flowing offense Jokic orchestrated. Fans debated incessantly on social media. Was this the front office's dream move, or just a desperate gamble for attention and ticket sales? Meanwhile, Malone was apparently urging the suits upstairs not to overlook the fundamental ingredients that had made Denver successful in the first place. According to some reports, he wanted more gritty role players who could adapt to Jokic's style, scrappy defenders, unselfish passers, and sharpshooters who moved without the ball. The fact that he didn't always get them added more fuel to the simmering tension. Wait until you hear the next part. While fans rallied behind Malone, many praising him for the championship run and his ability to navigate tough injuries, the front office had a completely different viewpoint. According to sources close to the organization, upper management believed that Malone, despite his prior success, was too rigid. They felt he resisted experimenting with new rotations and favored veteran players over potential breakout talents. If the rumors are true, the conflict boiled down to a philosophical divide. Management wanted a more dynamic, unpredictable brand of basketball that could adapt to the evolving NBA landscape. Malone, they claimed, stuck to time-tested plays and strategies that, though effective in the past, might have become outdated or too predictable. Additionally, there were murmurs that certain executives weren't satisfied with the team's overall marketability. In an era where social media and highlight reels drive fan engagement, the Nuggets style was sometimes labeled as fundamental rather than exciting. This might sound like a trivial complaint, but in a league where showmanship can translate to higher viewership and merchandise sales, the front office's impatience grew. They wanted more hype, more electrifying narratives, and they weren't convinced Malone could deliver that. All the while, a scapegoat narrative gained momentum. Whenever the team faltered, someone had to take the blame. And in professional sports, the coach is often the easiest target. With a 4-game losing streak intensifying concerns and the postseason looming, management might have seized this moment to act. Their rationale: make a bold change now or risk sliding into the playoffs without any spark of new life. Yet there's another twist to this story. For a locker room that had recently celebrated a championship together, morale took a sudden and drastic hit. While some veteran players still backed Malone, crediting him for forging a winning culture, others felt uneasy. People often forget that star athletes aren't just stat sheet marvels. they're also human beings dealing with shifting relationships, unrelenting media scrutiny, and the pressure to keep climbing the mountain they once conquered. Nikola Jokic, revered in Denver for his unselfish style and quiet leadership, became the focal point of much speculation. Rumors suggested he was caught off guard by the decision. Sources close to the team described him as blindsided and disappointed, implying that he had no significant say in the move. Fans who adore Jokic's calm demeanor and loyalty were aghast, especially if their franchise player was left out of the loop on something this monumental. Meanwhile, other players worried about how a new coach might alter their roles. Questions arose about whether someone with a more up-tempo system would drastically shift minutes and strategies. Would established vets suddenly see their playing time slashed in favor of the younger, more athletic crowd the front office desired? Or would the new leadership demand a style so different that the entire roster would have to adapt on the fly just as playoff intensity ramped up? These internal uncertainties spilled onto the court. Performance dipped. The chemistry that once defined Denver seemed to fracture at the worst possible moment. Fans caught glimpses of on-court arguments, heated timeouts, and hushed, tense discussions that fueled endless speculation. You'll never guess what happens next. As news of Malone's firing broke, the basketball world went into a frenzy. Analysts across TV networks lambasted Denver's front office for what many labeled an impulsive, short-sighted decision. Social media lit up with fans and pundits alike expressing disbelief. Some even called it an act of sabotage, firing a championship coach this close to the playoffs. Instantly, rumors about potential replacements began swirling. Could the Nuggets try to lure a big name like Mike D'Antoni, known for his high-octane offense? Or perhaps they'd court a lesser-known assistant with fresh ideas, hoping to replicate the success that new wave coaches have found in other franchises. A few insiders even tossed out wilder theories, mentioning figures from Europe or college coaches poised to make an NBA leap. The question hung in the air. Would any coach be able to solve Denver's issues this late in the season? Hiring a new face didn't guarantee that the problems embedded in the roster construction, loss of key role players, conflicting ideologies, potential locker room rifts would vanish overnight. If anything, a new coach would face immediate scrutiny and unimaginable pressure to deliver results with minimal time to adjust. League-wide, the vibe was one of shock. Rival teams surely perked up, seeing an opportunity. A destabilized Nuggets squad might be more vulnerable in the playoffs. This shift also made some wonder whether Denver's once promising dynasty was in danger of collapsing before it could fully form. But the real shocker is still on the way. Denver's faithful fan base, many of whom had spent years suffering through rebuilding phases and near-miss seasons, felt blindsided. They had finally won a championship, something they thought cemented the team's core and coaching staff for the foreseeable future. Now, they were forced to watch an organization tear apart what seemed like a recipe for long-term success. The immediate reaction on social media was explosive. Words like betrayal and panic move appeared in Twitter threads and Reddit posts. Some fans demanded accountability from the front office. They asked why beloved role players hadn't been retained and questioned why the team's ownership was so quick to fire a coach who had delivered a title. Others worried that this was only the start of a complete teardown. Could players like Jokic or Murray eventually ask out if they felt the franchise no longer supported them? And might the Nuggets be heading down a path paved with more shocking trades, misguided signings, and internal power struggles? The local media poured fuel on the fire by highlighting every fragment of controversy they could find. Headlines pointed fingers, referencing accusations that certain executives had meddled too heavily in on-court strategies. Radio talk shows echoed fan sentiments, questioning if the franchise was unraveling behind the scenes. Amid the chaos, a few faint voices of optimism emerged. They speculated that drastic change might jolt the team into a renewed sense of urgency. If a new coach could rally the players, maybe the Nuggets could recover their momentum and shock everyone by going on a deep playoff run. But this optimism felt shaky at best, more like wishful thinking than a well-founded prediction. And it gets even more intriguing. As the regular season concluded, the Nuggets found themselves perched precariously in the standings. The Western Conference, as competitive as ever, offered little mercy for a team in turmoil. With a new coach taking the reins, possibly an interim figure with limited experience, fans and analysts braced for a roller coaster playoff ride. In the face of this upheaval, the remaining players faced an uphill battle. Some might see it as a wake-up call, either unite in the face of adversity or risk an early exit and tarnish the legacy of their championship triumph. The tension could push them to tap into an undercurrent of determination, that had been dormant amid complacency. Or it could completely unravel their cohesion, sending the Nuggets spiraling out of contention. A wave of speculation also surged around Nikola Jokic. Could this be the moment he channels his frustration into the most dominant run of his career? Or would the turmoil behind the scenes weigh too heavily on him, preventing him from carrying the team? Fans clung to the idea that Jokic, in his calm yet fierce way, would rally his teammates. But even the best player can't thrive in chaos if the rest of the environment crumbles. Beyond the players, the entire organization stands at a crossroads. The gamble to remove Mike Malone could either rejuvenate a lagging contender or devastate a team that was on the brink of building a dynasty. If the front office's vision fails to pan out, they might face the wrath of not only the fans, but also the league at large. A fiasco of this magnitude could stain reputations and take years to fix. All of this sets the stage for one of the most intriguing postseason storylines. Will the Nuggets defy the odds and prove that management's bold gamble was genius? Or will they stumble in spectacular fashion, leaving fans to wonder how things could have gone so wrong, so fast? At the end of the day, firing a championship-winning coach mere weeks before the playoffs is as seismic a move as you can get in the NBA. It exposes a franchise that seems to be struggling with its own identity. Are they the old-school team-centric group that thrived under Malone's guidance, or a modern, market-driven powerhouse hungry for glitz and glamour? The friction between these two visions has split opinions from the locker room to the front office. And now the fallout is on full display for the entire world to witness. The Denver Nuggets' unexpected decision raises countless questions about loyalty, strategy, and the lengths a franchise will go to chase success or avoid failure. For a moment, it overshadows even the typical playoff drama that grips the league at this time of year. Fans, analysts, and rival teams are all watching closely to see if this high-stakes gamble will pay off or implode spectacularly. No matter which side you fall on, whether you think Malone's firing was overdue or a reckless mistake, there's no denying the intrigue it brings. From rumored locker room disputes to the front office's alleged desire for a flashier style of play, the entire saga reads like a cautionary tale about how fragile success can be. One minute you're hoisting a championship trophy, the next you're hitting the panic button after a brief slump. So now we wait. We wait to see if the Nuggets can rediscover their identity in time to make a serious run. We wait to learn whether the new coach, whoever that may be, can pick up the pieces of a fractured roster and turn chaos into championship gold once more. And we wait to find out if all the speculation about rumored power struggles, shocking behind-the-scenes disagreements, and potential trades will finally come to light. In the end, this entire saga might stand as one of the most dramatic chapters in Nuggets history, a turning point that defines the franchise for years to come. The only certainty is that nothing will ever be the same in Denver. If they rise from the ashes of this internal storm, we'll have witnessed a reinvention unlike any other. If they crash and burn, fans will spend the offseason and beyond wondering what could have been. So buckle up, because the real drama is just beginning. The Nuggets' future hangs in the balance, poised to either spark a basketball renaissance or unravel into one of the most shocking downfalls in recent memory. One thing is for sure, we'll all be watching. Thank you so much for watching till the very end. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss our next upload.